Did you know that there's a single warm cup you can drink 90 minutes before bed tonight that triggers a powerful, scientifically documented overnight brain repair process?
A process that 99% of seniors in this country have absolutely no idea exists. After age 50, your brain has roughly 7 hours every single night to clean itself out, repair its neurons, and reinforce its memories. And what you drink in the last hour before you sleep can either help that process or completely shut it down.
I'm Dr. Belmore, and after more than 2 decades practicing medicine, I'm going to walk you through the exact cup I now recommend to every single one of my patients over 50.
Who tells me they are starting to lose their memory? First, I want you to understand what is actually happening inside your brain after age 50. Because memory loss is not a mystery, it is a process. And like every process, it can be slowed, paused, and in many cases reversed if you understand the mechanics. 3 things change in the aging brain. First, the small blood vessels that feed your brain begin to narrow and stiffen. Your brain uses roughly 20% of all the oxygen and 25% of all the glucose your body consumes every minute of every day. When those tiny vessels narrow, the delivery system that keeps your brain cells fed begins to fail in small, invisible increments. Your neurons start working with less fuel than they need. Second, chronic low-grade inflammation builds up inside the brain tissue itself. This is called neuroinflammation, and it is one of the most consistent findings in every cognitive decline study published in the last 15 years. Inflammation slowly damages the connections between brain cells, especially in the hippocampus, the small seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain that is responsible for forming new memories. Third, the brain's own overnight cleaning system, which I am about to explain in detail, starts losing efficiency.
By the time most adults reach their late 50s, this cleaning system is operating at roughly half the capacity it had at age 35.
And what does not get cleaned out at night builds up into the toxic proteins that are the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Now, I want to talk to you about something that was only discovered in 2012 and that almost no general practitioner ever mentions to a patient over 50.
It is called the glymphatic system, and it is the single most important reason why what you drink before bed matters so much.
The glymphatic system is your brain's own dedicated overnight cleaning crew. During the day, your brain produces a steady stream of metabolic waste, leftover proteins, broken down cellular debris, including a particularly nasty protein called beta amyloid. Beta amyloid is the same protein that, when it accumulates over years and decades, forms the plaques found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. During the day, your brain has almost no way to clear that waste out. But at night, when you fall into the deep, slow-wave stages of sleep, the spaces between your brain cells open up by roughly 60%. Cerebrospinal fluid then flows through those expanded channels and physically washes the day's accumulated waste out of your brain tissue. This is not a metaphor. It is a literal cleaning process observed in real time using advanced brain imaging at the University of Rochester. Studies have shown that the glymphatic system clears roughly 7 grams of metabolic waste from your brain every single night when it is working properly. What is the catch? The glymphatic system only works during deep, uninterrupted sleep. Light sleep, fragmented sleep, alcohol-disrupted sleep, sleep after a late dinner. All of these reduce the system's efficiency by 50 to 80%. And after age 50, the natural depth and duration of deep sleep already declines on its own. Stack a poor bedtime routine on top of that age-related decline, and you end up with a brain that has not been cleaned properly in years. There is a specific 90-minute window before you fall asleep that determines whether your glymphatic system will run at full capacity tonight or not. What happens in that window controls the depth of your sleep, the timing of your melatonin release, and the level of inflammation your brain will deal with overnight. And what do most seniors do in that window? They watch loud TV. They scroll their phones under bright blue light. They eat snacks high in sugar and refined carbs. They have a glass of wine to relax. Every single one of those habits is actively shutting down the very system that is supposed to be cleaning their brain. The cup I'm about to describe to you does the opposite. It quiets the inflammation, supports the glymphatic flush, deepens slow-wave sleep, and gives your brain the raw materials it needs to repair the connections between neurons. Now, a word about the promise in the title of this video. Can a single cup before bed actually reverse memory loss overnight? Let me be precise with you.
1 cup tonight will not bring back a memory you lost 10 years ago. Nobody being honest with you will promise that.
But what 1 cup of the right combination, taken consistently every night for 14 days, can absolutely do is this. It can measurably improve cerebral blood flow within 7 days. It can deepen the slow wave stages of sleep that drive the glymphatic flush starting on the very first night. It can reduce systemic inflammation markers within 10 to 14 days. And in older adults, it can produce measurable improvements on standardized memory and processing speed tests within 2 weeks. The landmark Cosmos Mind trial, published in 2023 and run by Harvard Medical School in Wake Forest, followed more than 2,200 older adults and showed measurable cognitive improvement in subjects taking the key flavanol found in the cup I'm about to describe. That is real science from real institutions, not a marketing claim from a supplement bottle. So what is the cup? It is one warm, unsweetened cup of real dark cocoa, combined with a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, a quarter teaspoon of turmeric, a small pinch of freshly ground black pepper, and a teaspoon of raw honey, drunk 90 minutes before you go to bed. That is it. 5 ingredients, costs you less than $1 a night. No prescription, no supplement subscription, no special equipment. And yet what happens inside your brain in the 8 hours after you drink it is among the most powerful, scientifically backed interventions for aging cognition that exists outside of a research lab. Let me walk you through what each of those 5 ingredients does, why this exact combination works better than any single one of them alone, how to prepare it correctly, and what to expect over the next 14 days. Because every single component is doing a different job, and once you understand what each one is for, you will see exactly why 99% of seniors have no idea this is even possible. The base of the cup is 1 heaping tablespoon of pure unsweetened cocoa powder dissolved in warm water or warm unsweetened milk. Not chocolate, not hot cocoa mix, not the sweetened powder in the canister at the grocery store. Pure unsweetened cocoa, the kind that has only 1 ingredient on the label. The reason is a specific class of compounds called flavanols, found in concentrated form in unsweetened cocoa. Flavanols do something extraordinary inside your brain. They stimulate the endothelial cells in the small blood vessels of your brain to produce more nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the molecule your body uses to relax and open blood vessels. When those tiny vessels in your brain open up, cerebral blood flow increases. More oxygen, more glucose, more raw repair material reaches every single neuron. The Cosmos Mind trial run by Harvard Medical School and Wake Forest, published in 2023, followed more than 2,200 adults aged 50 and older for 3 years. The group taking cocoa flavanols every day showed measurable preservation of cognitive function compared to placebo, particularly in tasks involving memory and processing speed. A separate, earlier study from Columbia University used brain MRI to show that older adults who consumed cocoa flavanols daily for 12 weeks had a measurable increase in blood flow to the dentate gyrus, the specific region of the hippocampus most affected by age-related memory decline. The participants performed memory tasks as well as people 2 to 3 decades younger. Now, 2 critical rules about cocoa. First, it must be unsweetened. Sugar destroys most of the benefit. The sweetened hot cocoa packets you grew up with are essentially candy, and they will spike your blood glucose right before bed, which is the opposite of what we want. Second, the cocoa must be non-alkalized, sometimes labeled natural cocoa. Many commercial cocoa powders go through a process called Dutching, which destroys most of the flavanols. Look for the words natural cocoa or non-alkalized on the label. Flavanol content can differ by a factor of 5 or more between brands. Add 1 full teaspoon of cinnamon to the warm cocoa. And specifically, if you can find it, Ceylon cinnamon, not cassia cinnamon, which is the cheaper, more common variety in American grocery stores. Ceylon is the safer, more potent version for daily use. Why cinnamon at bedtime? 2 reasons that both matter enormously for memory. First, cinnamon has a powerful and well-documented effect on overnight blood glucose stability. After age 50, many adults experience small, unnoticed nocturnal glucose spikes around 3 a.m., driven by what is called the dawn phenomenon. Those glucose spikes silently inflame the brain throughout the night and disrupt the deep sleep stages that drive the glymphatic flush. Cinnamon, even in modest doses, slows the absorption of any food or sugar in your stomach and helps keep your overnight glucose curve flat. A 2019 study in the Journal of Diabetes Science and Technology showed that 1 teaspoon of cinnamon before bed reduced overnight glucose variability by up to 24% in older adults. Second, cinnamon contains compounds that have shown direct protective effects on the hippocampus. A study from Rush University Medical Center in Chicago demonstrated that cinnamon metabolites, specifically a compound called sodium benzoate that your liver produces when it processes cinnamon, actively protected neurons in the hippocampus and improved spatial memory in animal models. Choose Ceylon cinnamon when you can. It costs slightly more, but it contains far less of a compound called coumarin that can stress the liver at high doses with long-term daily use. For an occasional cup, regular cassia cinnamon is fine. For a nightly habit, Ceylon is the smarter choice. Add 1/4 teaspoon of pure turmeric powder plus a small pinch, and I mean a small pinch, of freshly ground black pepper. The black pepper is not for flavor. It is the most important ingredient detail in the entire cup, and I will explain why in a moment. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin. Curcumin is one of the most studied natural compounds in modern neuroscience. It does 3 things that directly support memory in older adults. First, curcumin crosses the blood-brain barrier, the highly selective wall of cells that protects your brain from most circulating substances. Very few compounds in nature can cross this barrier. Curcumin can. Second, once inside the brain, curcumin actively reduces neuroinflammation. It binds to specific inflammatory proteins called cytokines and blocks their cascade. In a 2018 study from UCLA, published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry, adults aged 50 to 90 who took a bioavailable form of curcumin daily for 18 months showed a 28% improvement in memory test scores compared to placebo. PET scans of their brains also showed reduced amyloid and tau accumulation in the hippocampus and amygdala. Third, curcumin appears to support a process called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is a protein that promotes the growth of new connections between neurons. Low BDNF levels are associated with depression, cognitive decline, and Alzheimer's. Curcumin gently raises BDNF over weeks of consistent use. Now, the absolutely critical detail: curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed. Less than 1% of what you swallow actually reaches your bloodstream. But when you combine curcumin with the piperine compound found in black pepper, absorption increases by approximately 2,000%. A pinch of black pepper turns a teaspoon of turmeric from a kitchen spice into a clinically meaningful dose. Without the pepper, you are essentially throwing the turmeric away. With the pepper, you're delivering the same compound that has been tested in clinical trials. Finally, stir in 1 teaspoon of raw, unprocessed honey, not the squeeze bottle clover honey from the supermarket. Real raw honey, the kind that is opaque, sometimes crystallized, sold in glass jars, often from a local beekeeper. The brand matters less than the words raw and unfiltered on the label. The role of honey in this cup might surprise you. Honey before bed has a specific and well-documented effect on overnight brain metabolism. Here's how it works. While you sleep, your brain continues to use glucose at roughly the same rate it does when you're awake. That glucose has to come from somewhere. If your liver does not have enough stored glycogen to release glucose steadily through the night, your body releases cortisol around 2 to 3 a.m. to break down muscle protein into emergency fuel. That cortisol spike disrupts deep sleep, shuts down the glymphatic flush, and is one of the most common silent causes of early morning waking. In adults over 50, a teaspoon of raw honey before bed topples that cascade. The fructose in honey is preferentially used by your liver to top off its glycogen stores, giving your brain a steady, gentle supply of glucose all night without spiking your blood sugar. The result is deeper, longer, less interrupted sleep, exactly the kind of sleep your glymphatic system needs to run. Research published in the journal Sleep Medicine has shown that a teaspoon of raw honey before bed correlates with measurably longer time in deep, slow-wave sleep and reduced overnight cortisol in older adults. 1 teaspoon, 8 calories, the right kind of fuel at exactly the right time. Here's the exact recipe, step by step, and the timing that makes it work. In a small saucepan or a microwave-safe mug, gently warm 8 ounces of water, or unsweetened almond milk, or unsweetened oat milk. Do not use regular dairy milk if you can help it, because the calcium and casein in dairy can interfere with the absorption of curcumin. Warm the liquid until it is hot, but not boiling. Boiling damages some of the flavonols. Stir in 1 heaping tablespoon of natural, non-alkalized cocoa powder. Stir until smooth. Add 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon. Stir again. Add 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder. Stir again. Add 1 small pinch, about the amount you can hold between 2 fingers, of freshly ground black pepper. Take the mug off the heat or out of the microwave. Let it cool for 2 full minutes. The cooling step matters because raw honey loses some of its beneficial enzymes if added to very hot liquid. Once the cup is warm but no longer steaming, stir in 1 teaspoon of raw honey. Drink the entire cup slowly, sip by sip, over 10 to 15 minutes. The timing rule. Finish the cup 90 minutes before you plan to be asleep. Not 5 minutes before, 90 minutes before. The 90-minute window gives the flavonols time to reach your brain, gives the curcumin time to cross the blood-brain barrier, and gives the honey time to top off your liver glycogen. By the time you actually fall asleep, every ingredient is doing its job and your brain is fully primed for the deepest possible slow-wave sleep. One more practical note, brush your teeth after the cup, not before. The cocoa and honey can stain your teeth if they sit overnight without being brushed away. Let me pause here for a second. We have walked through every ingredient in the cup and exactly how to prepare it. Before we get into what to avoid in that critical 90-minute window, do me one small favor. If you're willing to try this cup tonight, type the words, "I'll try it," in the comments below right now. And while you are there, tell me your age and which state or country you're watching from. I read every single comment on this channel, and it helps me know exactly who shows up for these videos. 3 habits in that 90-minute window will cancel out everything the cup does. I see them in nearly every patient over 50 who tells me their memory is slipping. Habit 1, eating a heavy meal or any food at all within the 90 minutes before bed. The moment you eat, your digestive system steals blood flow away from your brain to process the food. Your stomach is still digesting when you fall asleep. The glymphatic system does not run at full capacity while your gut is working. Finish dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime. The cup is the only thing that should hit your stomach in the final 90 minutes. Habit 2, drinking alcohol within 4 hours of bed. I know this is the hardest one for many people. A glass of wine with dinner feels like part of the evening. But alcohol, even a single drink, drastically suppresses the deep, slow-wave stages of sleep where the glymphatic flush actually happens. Research from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism has shown that even modest alcohol consumption within 4 hours of bed reduces glymphatic clearance by up to 50% that night. The glass of wine and the cup are doing the exact opposite things inside your brain. If you have to choose, choose the cup. Habit 3, scrolling your phone, watching loud TV, or being in bright light within 60 minutes of bed. Blue light from screens suppresses your natural melatonin release by up to 85%. Melatonin is not just a sleep hormone. It is also a powerful antioxidant that protects brain cells overnight. Dim the lights, turn off the TV, put the phone in another room. Read a paper book if you need something to do. Your brain will thank you for the next 30 years. Here's what to expect, night by night over the next 2 weeks. Nights 1 through 3. You will likely fall asleep faster by anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes, starting the very first night. Many people also report that they wake up fewer times in the night, especially that 2 to 3 a.m. wake up that has become so common in adults over 50. Your morning fogginess may already feel lighter by day 3, nights 4 through 7. By the end of the first week, the cocoa flavonols have measurably increased cerebral blood flow. Many people report noticing small but real improvements in word recall, especially the kind of small memory lapses like forgetting a name or misplacing keys. The deep sleep stages are now longer and more consistent, which means the glymphatic system is finally clearing the accumulated waste from your